I drove back by the kids by myself and she's on the front porch with the sun. Like it's so hard to that. But I see a violation. She was sitting out there as your dog. The sign was in the ground. Right there. She opened it. Metro. And she was stubborn. Still at the pole. They gave idiots. I'm sure. Oh, how bad was the read? It's on 4. She didn't read the boards. Sure. One is CCR. Yeah, first, give 2,008 or less than 20 bucks to take 20 minutes of responsibility. But I got his name in the table. That's actually correct. Why? Yeah. Okay. That's your line. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually. So. Yeah. Good morning. It's a memo now, so if you could silence your phones, that would be appreciated. Back up there.
We call to order the September 16th, 2023 Board of Directors. We have a quorum with one missing, no one. And if it's not stand, for mention sign. Good morning. Got a little rain, it got a little cooler. Everybody smile. Let's see. Chance to look at the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Favor? Motion passes. We don't have anything in for the secretary's report. Treasurer report.
All right, from August 2022, we had 188,448 revenue. This August, we had 221,772. Expenses from 2022 were 183,793, and expenses from this from August this year was 243,277. Our income, it looks like it was down a bit, but I've been told there was something with the electric bill doubled up and whatnot. It's probably about the same place we go back to. So, thanks.
Board of Directors report, which should be the last one, because we won't need it. Or welcome our new general manager, Patrick Preminger. Let's see, we did the lighting of the marquee last night. I think a lot of people were here. Boy, it sure looked beautiful. The spring is coming back, slowly but surely. Security has gotten their new vehicle. The new event coordinator is busy planning new events and is always looking for volunteers. So she paid me to say that.
Who is it?
Oh, I'm sorry, Carly Parks is her name. And she's young and enthusiastic. So yeah, I know we have Carly, Cassie, Christina. It's very confusing. Lisa. Carly, Cassie, Christina, and Lisa. Oh.
Is it too early for you?
It is. Let's see, we'll get a report from the Las Moras Restoration, but they're getting really close to being done, which is awesome with everything at the pool. And we're in the process of getting the keyless entry installed for the gym so that it will be open 24 hours. That's all I have. We'll move right into the committee reports. We have a report from the airport. Architecture.
Since your last meeting, we've approved 9 permit applications, and table 1 is to receive further information on the foundation for our new manufactured home. We've submitted multiple violation letters addressing unsightly conditions, abandoned vehicles, and loose dogs. We hope to welcome a new member to our committee this week. What is her name? Kevin Bingham has attended 4 of our meetings and submitted her application, and we would like for her to be approved, which will still barely give us a quorum. We have 2 members that are temporarily off, so we really need some more help. So if anyone would like to volunteer their time, please attend 4 of our meetings Tuesdays here in the boardroom and submit an application for membership. We welcome people from different units to come and represent the membership of the entire court in helping to keep our properties in line with the CCNRs of each unit and to protect our property values.
So were you asking us, would
Yes,
you like us to,
I would very much like to.
does anybody have a problem with, with K-Benna? I don't know if we actually have to vote, but we can, but I'll recuse myself because it's my sister.
Might as well, I live to be,
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Golf committee, do we have a report from them? Preservation, are you still on hiatus?
we're back.
You're back.
And, yeah, this is our first one back from our summer hiatus. We had a meeting this last Wednesday, as a matter of fact, was our first one, so, I'm pleased to report, as probably everybody knows by now, that the restoration work that started on the Post Theater marquee has been completed as this past Wednesday, 2023. Although through many trials and tribulations, NK Builders and I have seen it through to a successful conclusion. I won't bore you with all the details. I'll be here for an hour. Draining roof and weatherized exterior. It has all new bulb sockets, new wiring, clean and repainted lighting panels, and all broken glass replaced on the front of the theater. In addition, this is not on the report, but in previous work orders, we had replaced all the other exterior doors on the east, south, and west sides of the theater. That was done prior. You already know about that. That's anyone who saw the lighting ceremony last night and the condition of the marquee area hopefully will agree that it looks great. 2 members of our committee will soon be conducting a mini survey of our historical properties to determine the most urgent repairs needed. It's time to move on from the theater. Finally, after almost a year. Yeah, I apologize personally for that. But,
Things happen.
respectfully submitted, H.M. Bidder. Any questions? I'm sorry.
Thank you very
No,
much.
thank
Awesome.
you for everything.
Wonderful, thank you.
Recycling.
Looking for bids on a storage building for the recycle center. I had 2 people come. The first one says he is, if this is acceptable at 23,500, he would draw the contract with all the details, but mainly it includes the building, concrete, slab, and the dirt work, because there's a slope that has to be leveled off.
Now, is this one you've submitted to us before, or is this a new one?
This is new, but I didn't have the actual price that he was interested in. So it's Mr. Hardaway. Yaden Hardaway is the man's name. And the second person, I think is Olson Sellers, just came Thursday, and I asked him to give me some numbers by Friday so I could talk to you all, but he wasn't able to do that. So I have, so he's pending, so that's what I have. The other thing, Coca-Cola is gonna offer another grant. So Alina is gonna try to get some more money.
It could be 5 to 10, 15,000. So I'm going to apply for the 15, of course, because we need a storage building for our bales and the cardboard boxes that we fill. So again, the problem is aluminum. We need to make a bale of aluminum. We need 3 of the large cartons filled. If we want to make a bale of plastics, we need 8 of those 4x4x4 boxes filled. So we need to put them somewhere. We're figuring bales would be aluminum and plastic and mixed paper, which we have the most of. People bring really the most. So mixed paper, oh Lord, that takes probably 3 of the big cartons filled. So we gotta put them somewhere until there's enough to make a bale. Then once we get a bale, we gotta store that. So that's the issue. I desperately need a man or 2. But to help with making a bale. And what that amounts, I have one who is out of town for at least a month. So right now, I have enough aluminum to make a bale, but I don't have enough men to do it. So I'm asking volunteers for probably one time this week, because I've got it pretty much ready to make an aluminum. I have 2 men who are wonderful, but I do need at least 3. And it's like 2 hours. It's not that big a deal, that much time, I mean. So
We could probably put something out again.
On the dispatch, yeah, I'd love it. And if anyone here, I'm available to take down a phone number. So that's all. Anything you all want to know?
Remind me how big that building is that you're wanting.
Well, 25 wide, 20 long, 13 feet high. Because when you stack 3 bales, we want to stack 3 bales until we have enough to ship. So we need that kind of height. Yeah.
And that doesn't include the electrical, correct?
Electrical? I don't think we need any of that.
No need lights in there or anything?
No.
Or a future baler or anything like that, or we notice that later?
No, we don't need lights. I do want a roll-up door, which will allow us to see. And just like we have now, it's a 10-foot wide door. So that adds to the expense of any building. Yeah. Because we gotta roll in the forklift that's carrying the bales. Yeah. So, or the boxes. So. All right. Thanks.
Lots more frustration. You're already on your way.
Good morning. The topics, the projects that we finished up in the last few weeks are grading to try and minimize the runoff effects, and if and when will we get our next heavy rain?
Not it. I mean,
And we'll see, but we're not convinced that the grading is necessarily a done deal. It's helped in the rains that we have had. We had a couple of inches, I don't have to put it to the test, but it's a working process. We study in real time when we get the rains. So that's one thing. We finished the bathroom work. It was practically finished for the last couple of months, but the urinal installation wound up being quite the challenge for Russell, Noel, and John Wertz, but they persevered, and there is now a urinal that's functional. I know that only counts for something that half of the crowd. The pump redo on the pump that's used to discharge the pool. We're really excited about how that has turned out. Alan was wanting to build a fence to block people going over the discharge pipe, and we had very well put our foot down and said, no, fortunately, Tim Ward had kind of hit on a scheme of things, and as it turned out, it worked. And so the pump, not this pump, the pump is in action in its new digs. They're shifted a little bit, and so the quick connect type approach works, and when it's not actually in use, it's a completely wide open sidewalk for people to go around the pool. So we're real pleased about that because it's something that we spent a bunch of time studying on the possibilities in the East Valley and happening at work. The things remaining to be done were midstream of some repair and painting of picnic tables. We are midstream of ladder repair, and I think that's going to come to conclusion here in the next couple of weeks. It's dependent on welder schedule and some other factors, but that's close. We put a recommendation into you all for the another big thing remaining, it's going to cost a chunk of money, and that is the improved disability access to the pool. And I know you got that on your agenda, and there's some pros and cons of different things, but you have our revised recommendation of what we think is the right way to do it, based upon some follow-on input or conversations that Russell Knoll has had with Lisa Vale, and I think also Memo. So then I think, we're trying to get a bid on an irrigation system that would be just to water that high traffic area between the parking lot, between the steps and the pool. And it's proven to be a little bit of a struggle with trying to get a bid, but we'll hopefully be able to persevere and accomplish that too. That's the sum total. Any questions?
Thank you.
Oh, I do have one real quick. And you were looking into a grant, is that right, for the light?
For the lights, yes. We've made a grant application that the foundation that grant's made to, they'll make a decision into this month or early next month. And we're still kind of struggling with what lights to get. We want solar, dark sky friendly, and consistent with the look of the original vintage lights. And that's still that's a tough nut to crack. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have the grant applications for $5,000. So and it's part of the piggybacking with a grant application for the Hill Country Alliance is making for bigger, grander dark sky purposes. They've been very, very active in the dark sky arena all over the Hill Country. So there's good prospects. They have a strong interest in trying to play a role in helping Kinney County, Fort Clark, Crackville, and move in the dark sky criminal direction. And it's timely for some movement in dark sky criminal because there's such a now and for the next 9 months or whatever, there's keen interest in astronomy and such, celestial stuff because of the eclipse. And so anyway, that's answered that question.
Great.
Well,
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chris.
sir.
Recreation.
The recreation committee is no longer a thing.
Is that
They're gonna put their support fully behind Farley and her events planning. They're gonna be volunteer support behind her and let her be their leader.
so I don't know if we need to officially, the board committee, whether we need to officially disband it. Just to be sure.
should we undesignate the recreation committee? And let Carly do her efforts.
Community council report.
Gonna be kind of like a gent. We are, this part's not like HM's committee. We are looking for secretary desperately. At the council meeting, we had no nominations from the floor. And the board does have the right to appoint someone. It's just a matter of getting someone to step forward to serve as secretary. That position would, it's an unexpired position that the duties would last until January of 25. The matter regarding Fort Clark Days, Community Council use of the buildings and grounds was resolved. Every October beginning in 2023 and annually thereafter, the boards will meet and the committee will meet with the board of directors and schedule whatever details we need to work out about Fort Clark Days. Right. The matter of renovations and repairs to the bathrooms in the commissary building were tabled. Following a discussion, members agreed to the removal and repair of the bugle box. This led to a discussion about the visitor center, which many in attendance were not aware that it was open, much less open daily. And it said visitors, so that brought up the point, is it open to members? So, the members voted to rename this historic structure the Information Center. Plans were developed to clean and organize the information offered to members and guests, and more importantly, to communicate that the building is open daily to members and guests. There was a suggestion that the bugle box be located out that center for ease of access. There's more discussion to be had on that. Members are supportive of a historic marker for this historic structure. And that, if that is the community center, I mean, that's the information center.
That has been
Can you
running
see the
clean recently.
No, we can't see the picture.
You can't see it. Oh, I wish you could.
Is that, are you talking about the magazine?
Yes,
Okay.
it is now an information center and it's very welcoming and it's clean and it's beautiful. And I want to thank whoever did that. I think it was Stephanie.
That was Stephanie.
Raise your hand. Higher. Members approved expenditure of $100 to the Kinney County Church Alliance to sponsor a hole for their golf tournament that's coming up on the 21st. Members also voted in the affirmative to a request by the board, by the Fort Clark Springs Association Board, that we accept the donation of two-way radio equipment from Chad Potts. The equipment will help fulfill Article 2, the purpose of the Fort Clark Springs Community Council Constitution, to assist and develop various projects for the enhancement of Fort Clark Springs and the community, and to preserve, protect, and promote the historical resources of Fort Clark Historical District for its citizens, visiting public, and future generations. The installation will be coordinated by Fort Clark Springs Maintenance, our local ham radio club, and the donor. Details to follow. Installation is expected to be complete by the end of October. Radios will be utilized by our security services, maintenance, motel, community council, and its various committees. So that's gonna happen. Members discussed the restored theater marquee. Plans are in the works for a relighting dedication ceremony, which was last night, so they work really fast. There was also plans for an outdoor movie night, and I think that's probably still in the works. That'll probably still happen. We do have a problem, because members agreed to change the date of our next meeting to October, from the 14th to the 7th, because the 14th is the eclipse, the partial eclipse, ring of fire, that will be here. And anyway,
we changed our date from the 14th to the 7th, but now we aren't gonna have a quorum. So we're not sure what we're gonna do with the community council meeting. So this is the part, members bring the following concerns to this board for consideration and resolutions. Security issue number 1, the closing of gates each evening. There was consensus that this is a concern to the members present. Of primary concern are the gates that allow vehicle access. Regardless of the ongoing Facebook disagreements concerning the various definitions of dusk and dark, or the opinions for the need for closing the gates, membership wants the gates closed. Trails limited to foot, bicycle, and golf carts are included in this request. We appreciate our personnel, security personnel, and know that all gates cannot be closed at exactly the same time, but they do want them closed and locked. Security issue number 2, fix non-existing street lights. Members ask that these lights be fixed as soon as possible. Thirdly, members request an update to progress of asbestos remediation in the adult center, formerly known as the hospital. In recent past, there was mention of getting the U.S. Army involved to get this work done without cost to the security, to Fort Tom Springs. Any questions? Don't think so. Thank you.
Right, old unfinished business. CPI and assessments. Tabled from last month. I did not provide anything that's still in the last. Does anybody want to open that discussion?
Where do we do the discussion? Just trying to decide whether or not we're gonna vote, one way or the other of the 2.97%.
Whether we were gonna do 2.9, just round up to get rid of the cents or not. Raise the assessments at this point. I think that was the three points we had.
I think, I've given that some thought. I think since listening to the concerns of some of the members and then also some of the board, it's a bad juju business practice to say, meet in the middle, right? We always, that's a bad negotiation tactic. But I think maybe in this situation, that we're always gonna have people on either side. What does it sound like to do to challenge us on the operational side and Mr. Preminger and say that let's do a 1.48% increase or something, whatever gets us to a round dollar amount, and then challenge Mr. Preminger to find the other 1.5% amongst waste in our budget to bring us up to where we would have been had we raised it to 3%. And I think we've already identified some of those areas, but to get us either higher than the 3% essentially, or at least at the bare minimum meeting that. And I'm not talking about, from operational side, I'm not talking about finding something that gives us a 1 year increase in our operational budget. I'm talking about finding stuff that residually year after year after year we can always count on the same way as if you increase the CPI. Just to start the argument or start the conversation.
I think that's a rather moderate approach.
I'm calculating.
Yeah.
I'm doing the calculation while you're talking.
I think maybe the most unpopular position would be that we're lower than practically any other place on earth. I think I'd be willing to bet on that
Yes, sir.
to the extent of my resource. And yes, you identified pretty well the fact that we have been on this, and maybe Lisa more than any of the rest of us have been on this journey to uncover the clear waste that has been occurring for longer than I'm aware, but it's been brought to my attention that there's just been a lot of financial waste occurring here in the administration of the business of the port. I think we have a pretty good grip on all of that now. I'm just very pleased to have, and I'm not going to get into details of what that was. I think we've had discussions about some of those things previously, but no doubt about it, through mainly the efforts of Lisa, because she jumped on it and really helped to uncover things that I think we could identify only as waste occurring. So, all of that being said, the effort to uncover the waste was necessary without regard to considering the CPI. Having uncovered the waste and now making efforts to be more efficient, more frugal, doesn't necessarily mean that we should not consider raising the CPI. So I'm not wholeheartedly in favor of how you described meeting in the middle, John. Having listened to a large number of members who realized that I was on the board, literally talked my ears off about how necessary it was for us to increase the CPI. I certainly didn't take a poll to see whether it was a majority of the membership, but it was quite a few members that had bent my ear about the fact that this is something that needs to be done. I think we should give more consideration to actually raising it to the extent that we lawfully can. I haven't made that motion yet, but I'm trying to encourage some more discussion. And certainly any of the membership is welcome to comment on that as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Do you have any thoughts yourself? No.
I knew Bill would have something to say about it.
Well, just a second. Let's, so everybody weighs in
I'm sorry.
before we have,
Yeah.
questions or concerns. Your proposal, basically puts it as if we're rounding up.
Okay.
Which is funny, but yeah, to 70 cents on one and not much on the other. I feel like we did a huge increase last year, 9.1%. And I know we've been running without having without having a lot of increases. But at 9.1%, we're not any farther than we were last year. I don't see, what I have heard from the members is I don't see any more from the money that I'm putting out. And I wish I was not big. I'm of the mind that we look harder at our own, the waste that we do have that would be permanent. About the 1.4%. Always, if we run into trouble this year, nobody likes the special assessment, but we can do that. But I'd rather see us on firmer footing as to exactly where we are, exactly what we need. to feel comfortable enough to tell the membership that this is what we need. This is the increase we need, but we don't know. We don't have all the information yet. That's my opinion. So we will open it up to the membership. But you have to come up to the microphone.
Herman, member, you said something just a minute ago that you were calculating the increase based on John's number. Okay, what would that be?
It would increase the membership by 70 cents
Okay.
and
What-
the residential by a nominal amount.
Right, now, if you use the 2.9%, what would it come out to be?
It comes out to increase $1.40 and $1.37
Okay, so
each.
if you wanna compromise, you could raise it $1. You can't not raise it because the cost of everything keeps going up. You can't sit here and say, well, the electric company is not gonna raise the rates. Gas is not gonna go up, they're gonna stay right where we are because they like us. And so on. Supplies, et cetera, cost more. You cannot, for that reason alone, not raise it. And $1.50, whatever, I don't think it's gonna hurt. Now, yes, I know some people have fixed income. But hey, you know, if let's say winter Texans are complaining, let's use that as an example. Now, I'm not saying that I know anything for a fact, but winter Texans lives.
down.
Winter Texans live someplace else. And then they come here and they live here. They own 2 residences. How can they complain about $1 or $1.50? That's my point.
Patrick, do you think, you have a limited, where we are right now, but, I'm assuming that in your career that you've dealt with assessments going up or fluctuating to some degree, and based on your knowledge, what do you think, where our assessments are at and the increase of the 2.97% based off of your limited scope into things that, what you've been privy to so far or exposed to so far, how do you feel like, can you orate that in a way that you think that might help with the discussion?
Well, 2.9% is the smallest increase I've done within my career. That being said, to your earlier point, from an efficiency standpoint, there's room to grow. So, my first 2 weeks here, and a $1 increase doesn't seem to be dramatic to me. But combining with a higher rate of efficiency would be healthier from an association standpoint.
Microphone.
Yeah. Can you say it again? Yeah, please.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so, the question is, what was my input as far as the CPI increase goes? And the 2.9% is the smallest increase I've seen in my career. However, that being said, there is room in the operating budget from a higher level of efficiency. With a $1 increase and more efficient spending, really getting more for the dollar we already spending, and I think would boost the health of the association.
So what would be your, I'm just thinking, continuously thinking a few moves ahead here, based on what you've seen so far, could you give me an idea on what you would perceive as capital improvement projects or stuff that we, let's say we get to 100% efficiency, which obviously I dream, but let's say we did, and then, I mean, this like place is running on the tightest schedule that it can, and then, we increase this by the 2.97%. Do you see that capital improvement projects still overwhelming the amount of money that we currently have in the budget and everything else? I mean, and where I'm going with that is that is the 2.97% even enough based off of what you've seen now?
Well, depending upon the direction, the capital improvement direction, but if we wanted to, fix everything that we can see, then no. We won't get out. But it's according to the timetable too. Right? I mean, my idea of capital improvement would be investing into what can be an ROI for the fort and continuing that until we grow, become healthier and look better and have more amenities. So if you're asking about capital improvement dollars, my presentation will completely evolve around ROI.
I know it sounds silly, but I really would like to get us to whole numbers, however that goes. Yes. It's an accounting
I
nightmare.
have it on my email notes, just had it pulled up.
It's an accounting nightmare. It's harder to find errors, mispostings, calculating, pulling out the restricted funds. It's costing us dollars in labor that's unnecessary.
I mean, isn't it all just electronic and you're at dollars and cents to get a report on that?
No.
Really?
Really.
Well, it should be.
It's gotta be put in somewhere.
I mean,
And that's the whole dollar amount here. These are the revised dollar amounts, right? That's what we had on our last day.
Yeah, and then this, if you were to add that, that's the 1.4. So it'd be
But 48 is 0.86 and 0.01, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
For a 1 unit lot, how much are we paying with those both numbers?
right now, the cost is $97.49 for one lot and one residential.
Okay, so to me, $1 isn't gonna kill anybody, and $2 is even better, so you just
Well,
say, okay, 97, now, okay, so let's make it 100, and quit all this change and percents and whatnot, it's easy. And I think we all need it, everybody agrees, we'd love to have this, we'd love to, I keep seeing all the equipment that's in maintenance is like 100 years old. Just that alone to me. Yeah,
Looking at the balance of use and this and that.
I know, we need horse-drawn carriages, it's crazy, so just do it. And, people are always gonna complain, but maybe we will.
Rounding it up, making the whole number and making the county, creating efficiency along with,
Make it 100. I think that's.
Well, but they're two separate, like your residential is always
Yeah, I
gonna be
know.
lower and, it's like a $2.51. And this is a $2, the full is $2.77. Then we have to figure out how we're allocating that.
well, could we just make a motion in theory to, round it, to get everything rounded up? We don't know those exact whole numbers because of the allocations between preservation, restricted fund and all that.
In between the two.
Right. But can we make a motion to round the numbers up as close to the 2.97% as possible, but then also, no vote on the round numbers, but agree on the round numbers? We just don't know what those numbers are necessarily gonna be.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. We don't know exactly today. But I think the motion can be framed in the manner to accomplish that.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Without the need for an email vote.
Okay.
Is that clear? I mean.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how to state that,
Yeah, I'm just thinking about our,
but
We can't exceed
Our
two point nine seven.
we can't see the 2.97, but, the documents aren't particular on stating exactly what each one will be. Because it'll affect people differently. Because people that just have lots, they're not gonna have residential, so that number's gonna.
it shouldn't be that hard.
You would think.
No. Well, I'm not being critical.
No, actually, you know what, we can't round to 100, I'm sorry, if you look at it.
So. You're saying that if we go from, because you have two different types of memberships, the residential, and then the
And then the
Then
lot.
the
lot,
lots,
then
yeah.
you've got the discrepancies from the dollar amount averaged down to get it to a round number is vast enough that it skews the 2.97% differently.
Yes.
So
But it would not exceed,
it wouldn't exceed
it
it.
would not exceed
Yeah.
2.97.
But it could end up exceeding 2.9% on one of them.
Yeah, I see your point. It could exceed it. Depending on, well, you'd have to go down then instead of up. I'm not sure. Is a good round number, are we talking about, is a good round number like 1.5? Or does it have to be 1 or 2? Is the sense that's causing the problem the 1.52? Or the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
is it the 10th that's hurting us? Or the 100th that's hurting us and not the 10th in the accounting realm?
I mean, more so the cents.
But yeah, the hundreds. So.
Yeah.
Easy enough. Motion to raise the CPI index as close as we can to the 2.97%, accommodating or achieving a round figure number to the nearest 10th. In either one of them, residential or lot owner, more than the 2.97%, obviously. Round to the nearest 10. We can't round to the nearest Lord all of this. It's gonna, there's too much of a gap.
I see the whole bounty point, I mean, my report, you balance it, I mean, people can't add cents, I mean, how can you even operate anything if you can't have decimals?
What do you think, Patrick? You're gonna be running it, so.
The decimal don't bother.
I don't,
They do bother me.
well, when you being people on the time, or,
But
I mean, I don't know.
maybe you find that you should.
Decimals are hard.
So does the,
this issue with our ladies in county, so I don't want to speak for them.
With,
That being said, I mean, most computer systems account for it. I mean, it is. I think we can answer the question as we go forward.
But is that a training issue, a knowledge issue,
and we-
somewhere that we can get through?
maybe I'm not explaining it exactly. If there's a misposting, it is much easier to find, if it's a hole. You know, right now, the way we bill through QuickBooks and the assessments and everything else, if something's off, it's much easier to find. If it's 40, 50,
But I thought that was part of our problem, that we weren't doing that. And in an effort to get to where we need to be, eliminating
the black system.
the black system, then I feel like Jason, that it shouldn't matter, that the system will accommodate and it should work. I think that I've never said this to you the whole time I've been on the board, but I think that's nitpicking.
Okay.
But it's okay, I can have a solid answer about 5 minutes. I can ask these questions to see where we are. It's,
Yeah.
We need to vote on this, how we push it off a bit. Yeah.
Well, we really, the fiscal year starts October 1st, so we really
So we
need,
gotta do it.
we have to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can do an assessment email.
Well, state your motion again, because I think you were headed in the right direction.
Or we could just.
All right,
Our motion was complicated, Tony.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Bill always has something to say. Come on, Bill.
So then, you're thinking 2.9% for total or 2.9% per
Oh, no,
rate?
total.
No, it's 2.9% per membership.
Per. Right, so you
2.9%
have,
on the
you
line.
have 3 rates, you have 3 types of membership or monies, right?
But that's still 2.9% total, it's the same thing. Supply plus the broad, yeah, it's the same.
It's gotta be.
Oh, so that's what I'm asking, if it's 2.9% for the 3 different rates,
Well, there's really only two.
what about,
FRS.
FRN?
They're like lots, they're regular membership, same price.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that, but the way it was. But you can raise it 2.9% across the board, rounding down to an even number if you want. Simple. No?
I don't even think that's necessary.
No, I agree. I mean, you know, if people don't know how to, you buy gas, it's $3.99.9%. I mean, they're getting the money out of you no matter what, and if you can't put that in a town paper, you got the wrong people working for you. That's, you know.
How much this?
I will take care of it myself. We'll get it done.
Well, then,
So,
Say it again.
or let me just think, for one second. Good thing this is our meeting.
this just shows that we don't talk about this in advance.
But if we're not gonna run, actually dollar per membership, which would be 48.60.
Was it 47? Or is that?
You could,
It exceeds.
it doesn't exceed.
Yeah, okay.
So that is not. And the next question is you have to act like. Restricted.
I think that's a whole nother discussion there, isn't it?
But it has to, it that into the. So you raise your assessment, but it's still $4. And so you just add $4 in. Now it's $4.36 because they started raising the restricted amount by the same percent.
All right, well, it sounds, now this is starting to sound, now that, with that information, I have a motion to make. Okay. Let's raise the CPI assessment 2.97%, which is the amount we, in theory, should be raising it, and, call it a day.
Second.
And allow our.
I don't think we should raise it the full
Just do
2.97%.
it.
It was painful to raise it 9.1% last year. And
Salaries and stuff. No one's gonna lose their home over $1.
Right.
If they do, they can get a, HOA bill out.
well, I mean, the motion is there
And second.
and second, so.
Raise it to 2.
So do we have a
Well, the
motion.
chairman is Paul.
Order out of order.
You are out of order, sir.
Hello, take me off the board, please.
All right,
We've all said that.
all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
That's
Let's discuss it some.
other members cry tomorrow. So.
Are they not,
And then you have
are there less members
Yeah.
doing a better job, or they don't? Oh,
That's our plan. If we talk long enough, you guys just will say, we're not coming in anymore. Okay, item number 2, general liability insurance. Zach. You were up.
No, we gotta do that.
No, wait a minute.
We're on item D.
I'm sorry.
All right. We've got one.
We got the gun. So, discuss the budget.
No, no, rent approval. We just jump, we got it.
Okay. I just got all excited that you're asking. So.
Traumatized.
So we had an email vote, for the rental on the backhoe because we're still waiting, on getting the ones repaired. There's just been a lot of things to, trouble finding out exactly what. So, the vote was for. Here. $3,508.71. And that was passed unanimously. Discussion on the budget. Am I in the right place now?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I don't need one second.
I can jump off with, given our circumstances, given our circumstances, I would like to consider us using last year's budget until, Patrick has had a chance to, work his magic with all our items, and then we can, move forward with the new budget. There's nothing in our document that says that we have to pass a budget, or that we can't adjust our budget down the road. And that would be my recommendation. No,
Justin.
yes.
So getting used to the microphone. So what I've seen in the budget so far, it's pretty good. It's really written from a tax purpose standpoint. I want to see it also from an operational standpoint. So there's some changes I want to make in the chart of accounts, which will change basically the way the profit and loss statement appears. That way you can have revenue, expense, and net per department, which allows for a specific budget. So the budget will be a specific ruler. Apples to apples with the actuals from each month. So my goal is to be able to look at a month, a quarter, a year, prior year, actual, year to date, budget, and eventually get to forecast 365 days a year. So you know, we'll be, once we get QuickBooks set up to as close as that as we can, because there are some exceptions, but no big deal. Myself and the department heads will become the journey of learning how to forecast and then sticking to those targets, because that's what you need to do to say, I mean, if you face a recession in the middle of the year, and your revenues are down because of a situation outside of your control, instead of budget, you go to forecast. Okay, because now if you had $10,000 to spend, you may have $5,000 to spend. So forecast is there to be able to adjust to situations after the budget is written. Right? So that's just professional managerial accounting. Right? So right now it's pretty clean, and I've looked at a lot of companies' QuickBooks in my career. A lot. It's pretty good. I mean, you should be proud of what they've done, because from a tax standpoint, it's very good. Right? I'm more demanding from an operational standpoint. Right? That way I can know if my team is on track from, you know, period to period. That's about it.
Any other thoughts? Discussion?
No.
Motion?
I mean, do we need to make a motion to keep the budget? If there's nothing, I mean, I haven't seen anything in our document says we actually need to vote on, but it's an
You
operational.
don't think we have to adopt the budget?
The budget's already been adopted.
I mean,
Good use prior years.
Oh, yeah, so that is just started.
No.
And we'll make motion to that. So do I have a motion?
Make a motion to use prior budget.
Prior year or prior year budget? Prior year.
Our year. Yeah.
Yeah, prior.
No, actually.
I'm not an accountant, so now you're using me.
You just want prior
But
year.
yes, I just want to work.
Okay.
Well, you said it right, and I'll second that.
All in favor?
I,
Zach, now you are up.
Good morning.
Morning, Zach.
So my name is Zach Laster. Work with Assured Partners out of Austin, Texas, independent agency. So we do work with various carriers, which is why the property and casualty insurance for the Ford has multiple carriers. And that, I know it does complicate things with some direct bills, some from the carrier, but some through the agency. It's just the nature of the beast. Overall, the Fort Clark numbers are down 10.5% from 2021. We are down 14.7% from 2022. You know, there's, for the most part, everything, well, the property insurance is the biggest line item, right? So, and there's a reason for that. It's the overall values of the structures and then the age of the structures. One big hurdle we got over was there was a large hail claim several years back, and now that's far enough in the rear view so the carriers aren't necessarily underwriting that as much as they did. You know, that doesn't mean the property market isn't difficult right now. So it is a pro that it went down. We were also able to get the wind hail deductible down from 5% to 2%, which is a big deal. You know, this year we were able to, another reason why we were able to get the property insurance down was because we had 4 different carrier options, right? We had the incumbent carrier who did come out on top, but we were able to leverage their terms originally with 2 other options. One option was from one carrier, and again, these carriers are getting more creative, and so are the agencies, and so we did get a quota share, where essentially there's going to be 2 companies sharing the property insurance. It's not ideal because you don't want the finger pointing. However, the incumbent carrier offered a 3% option and a 2% option, and the 2% we can pick and choose which one we want to go with. I think the other big issue, well, the other line item, the only one we had an increase was business auto. One reason why is because we had 17 vehicles versus 15, so there's an automatic increase. When you look at the average price per vehicle being $1,800, it's really good compared to you typically see $3,000 to $5,000 per power unit. Now, obviously, we do disclose that these vehicles, the radius is minimal. They're not in a big metro, they're not in San Antonio, they're not in Austin. So while it's not a positive that it went up, it's still extremely competitive in the grand scheme of things. One other item, I guess, that I'd like to touch on is the work comp, and it's more of a positive, right? So, every year, the carrier is Texas Mutual. Everybody knows who Texas Mutual is. You are part of a safety group, which technically gives you the opportunity for 2 dividends. So since 2016, you've received $55,000 in dividends. So, it's pretty much almost your workers' comp being paid just by, the dividend. And that speaks to not having losses, right? Employee safety, which is a big topic. One thing that we did change was the airport liability. We had to move carriers because one thing we look at is we want the carriers to have money to pay. And there's a AM Best rating that the insurance market uses to determine, their financial strength. And so your prior carrier, Hallmark, they got downgraded, and it's for a variety of reasons. So they were B rated, and we prefer to have an A rated carrier. So we did switch to a different company. Pricing was still in line with what it was last year. As for that, every other line of business pretty much stayed even. The one line of business that we are looking at right now is the general liability, which comes up in February. And there's a reason why it has a different date because of a loss that happened several years back. Now, the good thing is that loss, when the carriers look at your loss runs, they're looking at, they have, how much money they pay out and how much money they have in the reserves. And the reserves is they think that they're going to be paying X amount of money on this loss, which, as the litigation unfolds, that number could drastically lower, right? So that is our hopes, and we will be addressing that here in February. So that really sums it up without getting into too much of the nitty gritty of property insurance. I know we discussed different type of valuations on the property. Currently everything is on a replacement cost basis, which is preferred, right? It's going to replace it with like type materials. And again, having older structures on a replacement cost basis makes it a little bit more difficult. So the topic of making sure we have the correct values on those buildings, because there is a co-insurance clause, meaning that you have to insure those buildings up to 80 or 90% of that replacement value. And we have calculations. There's a spreadsheet that I provided that breaks down the price per square foot. There are some discrepancies that I think we need to dive into. However, again, we can determine if we want to take a different evaluation on some of the structures. If we don't believe we need a replacement cost basis, we can do agreed value with the carrier, and that's going to lower the premium. Because again, that property insurance is by far the largest line item for on the market. It's either that or paying full. I don't have much. We've already negotiated that to get as low as possible. There's no collateral, right? If you default on it, they don't have anything to pay from it. They don't have a vehicle to come and get. So that's the main reason.
Okay. Thank you, Jack.
We're gonna finish the discussion on this in executive session and then We'll come back out for the vote on the liability. Employee health insurance is tabled. Unfortunately, we did not get all the information from the carrier, so, we still have some time for them to get us all the information, and employees are still, insured, there is no lapse, so, that is tabled. Handicap access to the pool. The Los Morris is, Restoration Committee has given us proposals, and I think she's gonna put the pictures up there. They've also given us, also used the common property alteration form that was, created by the ad hoc committee. It is not something we formally adopted yet, ended farther down the list considering everything else. So we're using this as a dry run to see how well it fits the needs for changes to the property. So what we're looking at, the two suggestions were to, and I don't know if I have the other suggestion up there. One was to add an additional sidewalk. Do you have the other? I didn't give that to you.
I'm sure the two that are shown.
Okay, shoot. Well, actually, this is the suggestion that's been, the first suggestion has been changed to this second suggestion. Sorry about that. I don't have a picture of the other. But to come directly across where the handicap is and put in a cement sidewalk. They're also gonna look at maybe curving it just a little bit to give it a little bit more of a aesthetic look as it goes from that handicap ramp to the pool. To the pool. Curve it toward the
To the sidewalk around it.
yes. So they're looking at curving that more toward the children's, just a little bit. Nothing, too crazy though. This will not only help with wheelchair access, but there are members that have issues with coming off the cement onto the grass and that type of thing. So that will give them clear access to the pool. It also gives us a better option for parking, which is the arrows are. And looking at more signage than it is handicap only, because we've had trouble with people just parking. And so was coming here, we're looking at really tightening up enforcement on who or what can park in that area. So if y'all have questions about that.
You and I met with Russell a long time ago and talked about doing it, right here at the corner and having an aluminum ramp. That was one of the original plans, but I think this plan is much better, much more permanent and less likely to be damaged. Aluminum ramp. It's just
Somebody
something
can walk off with it.
could be, well, I mean, it's terrible.
Like the toilet paper rolls.
Yeah, I think this is a great plan. And it's from the original plan, it's much quicker access from these signs to get across and get to the pool, as opposed to having we were gonna have to take the sidewalk all the way down, build the ramp, circle it, it's gonna have to make a 180-degree turn and then come back around. And this is streamlined, it's right by the signs, things great.
Is Chris there?
No.
He ducked out. Okay. That is their recommendation also, so. Do we have any questions or concerns from the members? Yes, ma'am? Yes.
Sharon Greger, Unit 27. There's been a lot of concern with pool usage in the shallow end with some sort of a handrail.
Yes.
My neighbor, Steve Woods, who is a welder, has already spoken to Russell about that. So many people, elderly especially, go in the pool in that shallow end. And as you all know, the steps are very wide down there. There's nothing to hold on to. And elderly people, when they get out of the water, how do I put this nicely? They're a little bottom heavy. And it throws them off. It throws them off, and there's nothing to hold hold on to. And we do have a lot of people with disabilities that could certainly use some sort of handrail. So maybe give that a little consideration.
No, that is,
It is?
it is.
Oh, good.
It's just, it was outside of Elmark. I think Steve, was, offering to do that, so
yeah.
it didn't fall under that, grant.
Okay,
So, no, it is definitely,
something you're concerned.
no, that, well, yeah, I can't say we're trying to do it, but,
Right, yeah.
but
Thank you.
yes,
Thanks.
thank you. Anyone else? Motion?
I'll make a motion to install handicap access as the restoration committee sees fit, and, this meeting.
Pursuant to this recommendation.
Yes, pursuant to the common property operation.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Do you wanna look at the pool paint? Since you're on top of it?
Oh, shoot, yes.
I know it wasn't on there, but.
No, I did want to add that. And that's in y'all's packets. And I talked to, it's a pool paint, you know, we have red everywhere and,
Do you want me to turn the TV so you can see?
no, you can't see it. Did the pink, and didn't get it right. That's okay, that was fun. So, we've got all of that in red. Are you looking at something different for the railing, for the ladder?
So the ladder's would be white. And then all the red would be the Kinney County blue. So hopefully.
So, instead of all of that red.
And in all my research, red actually does not improve visibility. It just needs to be.
And Russell had no trouble, had no, issue with the color from a historic standpoint, because I did talk to him about that. So, and along with that is to clean it up, because we've had red come down and then out. And part of that came from the fact that somebody spilled some, so then they just burned it off with more paint.
So it will be correctly prepped.
So it'll just be on the lip instead of coming down and
You have volunteers to do that.
Select group of skilled volunteers.
Skilled volunteers.
it won't spill it.
That I will vet their skills.
And
Before I let them check my pool.
the restoration committee is on board with this.
The restoration, but yes.
Yes.
Patrick, do you have any thoughts on your experience in pools, as red, blue colors?
That'll go in with the gray.
I think it would look a lot better than the red, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So,
It looks like murder scene.
Yeah, that's really.
Oh, that's yellow. I haven't had enough sleep, I'm sorry.
And paint is currently 40% off its normal is.
Very.
you go.
well, this is within the limits of the general manager.
Oh, well, no, this is, that's different.
I thought this was also a thing. It says Sherman Williams.
That's what it looks like.
Paint is also on sale at Sherwood Williams.
All right, so, yeah, if this will
So we're just
fall,
approving them to do this.
we're just approving publicly.
I'm fine with it.
Any thoughts? You all see it? Not anymore, right? All right, do I have a motion?
Wrap it into this other motion.
We can add it to the.
All right, you, John?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay. Well, then I'll second that motion to add that portion of it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, item number 6 is also tabled, for further information. Oh, I'm sorry. Check the wrong thing. You're on, that's right.
So, three-year capital plan is something, I had my first staff meeting yesterday, and all of my department heads have the template, it's a spreadsheet, it's designed to collect data. So a three-year capital plan describes projects, it gives them a priority, it gives them a type of project, it determines if it's a safety issue, and then lists the cost over the next 3 years, 24, 25, 26. So basically the data collection is where we're at right now. So between all of the departments of the Ford, myself, board suggestions from members at large, we'll basically go through the process of bidding everything from equipment replacement to repairs, the building repairs, renovations, remodels, new construction, whatever it may be, and to get bids on that information now. And to complete that list as thoroughly as possible for the entire 2,700 acres. Then, once that data is gathered, myself and the board, we can sit down and look at priorities, what we think, as I said earlier, in my humble opinion, when it comes to capital dollars, I believe wholeheartedly that we should invest capital dollars in what will be an ROI for the sport, considering there are several things that we need to make better. Then we need to allow our money to, we build something, tie that to membership, let the member join. It's a very easy ROI to calculate. Our goal next fiscal year is obviously to add 100 FRM memberships. So the process would be to tie a capital project to what would generate that volume of FRM memberships. It's a little more involved than what I'm saying right now, but basically that's what's just for capital. The capital template is the data. Once again, so that we can sit down and look at everything with bids to determine what's the best first step, second step, considering that the longest journey starts with the first step, so to speak, right? So, I mean, the data is at hand. If we need to move, we can move much quicker than we can right now. We won't need to investigate as thoroughly. And so I've asked my department heads to have theirs back to me in 3 weeks, right? Now, the bids are not going to be, obviously bids can change over time, okay? So, if they're within 10, 20%, then that will become more specific if the go-ahead is determined. That being said, we'll have far more information than I'll have far more information I currently have, right? Our goal is to cover everything. That way we can plan the future, but once again, it needs to have an ROI, and the difference would be, I know we have beautiful buildings here and we all want them to be repaired. I agree. It's not going to have an ROI. So we want to put more money in the bank and have more money so that we can launch a repair, interior repairs, plumbing repairs for the buildings that we have so they can become useful again. But we need more money in the bank. And so where are we at? Where does that begin? It begins with membership growth. That's where it began. And that's where it has to be. I mean, if you think about it, it's rain, sleet, or shine. That money comes in, right? I mean, even a person that works at a bank is going to see this that makes sense. It is extremely easy to calculate. You invest $100,000, you have 100 members join, they pay this much per month, they pay times 12, that's how much they pay per year. How many years will the original investment be paid off? That becomes net gain, right? Although, we're a 501c3, so it becomes capital money.
Capital gain. Capital money.
Capital money.
Right.
So
Not
that.
a 501c3, I mean, just a
Oh, my
Texas
bad.
nonprofit.
Texas nonprofit. I'm 2 weeks. that being said, you know, we're gonna hit a lot of birds here. You know, with membership growth comes more activity. With new amenities comes more interest in the fort, more value to your dollar that you already pay, right? So my plan, this has a huge marketing component. This has a huge communications component to it as well. But that's where my head's at.
Awesome.
Is that a reasonable goal, 100 members?
Kind of new to the market, but here's what I'm thinking, right? So, when you have a membership campaign per se, put as many oars in the water as you can, right? So, you know, to become an FRM membership is like $155 fee, is that correct? 165?
Yes,
165, right.
soon you go up.
So, you know, we have an elementary school here, we have a junior high school here, we have a high school here, right? One of my thoughts was to, you know, get with the superintendent or principal and say, you know, if you would mind sending this information home to the kids, this flyer, and for every member that joins through this, I'll give $50 of that fee to the school. Right? You know, it's about win-win. It's about partnership, right? You know, we play a bigger role in the community. $50 means nothing to us. We got to do months of dues, right? I mean, it's a very small thing to pay for the fort. But I think, you know, it's a goodwill thing, but also, you know, think of it this way, you know, Gabby is currently on member services, right? Well, how many, we have like a little over 700 kids between elementary school and junior high and high school. Now we kind of got 700 Gabbies, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, it's referrals and sponsorship, and to grow a sponsorship effort here. You know, so the biggest thing that in my mind right now is, besides the school, what type of referral base that I can discover, right? What can I discover as far as, you know, think of it from a phone campaign standpoint or an email campaign standpoint. But, really, what I would like is, you know, the sponsorship movement within our membership to sponsor new members. But I need to, you know, give everybody a target group to deal and do that. If you're willing to sponsor a new member, it means a lot because they already have a friend when they get here. You know, they can fit in better. They can become part of your community quicker. You know, so it has, you know, a strong retention standpoint. You know, considering the FR membership probably moving here.
Obviously, I don't see any reason I would buy. Just buy along, do something else. If I didn't live in here, then I wouldn't see the value of paying $40, $50 a month just to let companies can pull every now and then not pay. I mean, yes, there's a lot more amenities added, maybe, but it's a long shot for motivating people to cough up monthly dues on something that they just go through the gate and run around and do whatever they want anyway.
My whole life,
That's a very positive statement, sir.
Well, I mean, I'll keep that positive.
Well, this guy here, give me.
when I was a kid growing up, my parents had FR membership in town. And we had that membership for probably, my family may still have it, but I'm sure they do. But my whole childhood, the reason we had FRM was I didn't play golf all the time, but the pool. I mean, honestly, it's the pool and having access to be able to come up here and obviously be able to go see your friends and not be told no at the gate or have to call them every time or whatever. I believe back then it was like 400. I remember my mom saying something like $400 or something, whatever. I think it was more of the I pay this much money and you're getting in trouble, but you know, but the purpose of the reason we had the FRM was, you know, for the pool, I think, and stuff like that. So I think people will pay it.
How many do we have now, and how many of them are Kinney County residents that don't live in here? How many are people from San Antonio or somewhere else?
So it's the past. It's all about the present, future, you
You said might be a better thing, kind of maybe do is
You know, I feel like some of our most dedicated supporters of the fort are people that live in Brackett that have grown up with FRM.
yeah.
How many are? We
You
don't,
remember Sherman?
We had the numbers. We talked about them a few meetings ago. I can't remember all of them, but they were 3 or 4.
You know what I mean? Like, there's that graph that's got put out.
Yeah.
Well, we have 100, right now we have about 114, give or take, FRMs. And our vision goal was also to increase 100.
Right.
We almost want to double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can sell up to 2,000.
Yes.
And there used to be a lot more.
That's where the project comes into play, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's not just going out and asking somebody to come to, join. It's the excitement. And I'm not saying this is to be the project, but what's going to appeal to those families, right? A splash pad, I don't know. Splash pad beside the pool, I don't know. That's not the point. The point being is something that if that child brings that flower home to the parents, it's going to spark interest. Right? That's what the Capitol Temple is, with all this research and all this data collection is supposed to would point us to that right decision.
Well, I think the bigger point that you're trying to make, and I think the bigger reason that we all of us, including Mr. Peterson, wanted to hire communications directors, because there has been no effort on the association's part to market and campaign and create that excitement for new membership, whether it's lots, residential, or FRMs. And somebody in this room's got to know when, but I don't know when. It's been a long time. And so, I mean, the numbers didn't drop because that was still going on. They dropped because it stopped going on. So we have to, that has to be an important, you don't start a new business and not advertise and try to go door to door and find work. I mean, you have to gin up that excitement. So I agree with you 100%. We have to meet or exceed our goals, and we have to have a campaign to do that.
And we do have, we used to have more to offer, but we still do have a lot to offer. We just don't market it well. An FRM gets a discount for hunting, a discount for golf, the pool, the trails, all of those things. And if we market those better and then work on, everything else.
Well, and I think to everybody's point, and I think it's a great idea, and we've discussed it in the past, of having, you're saying a 3-year capital template, but getting all these bids together so that you can be educated talking about them. Because if you're, for instance, everybody wants Dickman Hall repaired. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's an absolutely spectacular building. It has so much potential. But walking through my contractor brain, it's a $1.2 to $1.5 million project to restore Dickman Hall, to get it back to being a restaurant and be able to potentially run venues upstairs and keep as much of the historical value that you can keep. This takes specialized contractors that aren't going to mess it up, and they also have the same values. And it wouldn't be cheap, but we all want that, but yet we don't have that general number. And so it just becomes a talking point that we're all frustrated about talking about, because we don't have a number and we don't have a plan to get there. And so having all the bids, not necessarily itemized on that particular building, I'm just using that example, but having all those bids does give us a good starting point to say, this is more important because it has safety, this is more important because it has a better ROI, or this is just pipe dream because we won't have money for 10 years, whatever it is. I agree, 100%.
So do you think that this puts us ahead of the curve in that we don't have to get bogged down on concentrating on individual projects that inevitably takes forever for us to get to, that we have a kind of a jump on these ideas of improvement?
It's pivotal to a 5-year strategic plan.
Okay.
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to add to the mix because people that have been here for a long time, the question is, how come we have such a low census now? And people have moved. They're getting old. and they go off to their family. So you gotta add that to your. Because there's a lot of people that used to be here, and
Yes, ma'am.
Makes sense.
Well, you will also have Creekside as a draw, correct?
Yes.
As far as food is concerned, everything in town closes up before dark. So you would have Creekside.
Mm-hmm.
That's a draw. You got the hunting. Maybe a reduced fee for hunting if you're a member.
There are.
It is.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
right now, yeah.
So that's another marketing tool.
Thing to point out is we just have not had any marketing for a very, very long time. We do have some of that structure in place, and we have a team, all of us, the board and everybody that agrees it's very important. And I mean, I don't think that's happened for a long time.
Very exciting.
We have some growth.
It's exciting too. So it's going up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun. And there's so many things to say. There really.
And oh, go ahead.
Lisa, what surprises me, I guess, we lived in Del Rio before we came here. And then we lived in Big Burville, came home. People drive 90. And they don't know we're here.
Yes. No.
I invited people to my home and they go, where do you live? I said, well, you know, Brackenville, the gate at 4 o'clock. They come through the gate and they are absolutely astonished that this is here, even in the condition it's in now. There's this, everybody in this room knows the chill bumps you get, okay? You know how you feel about the place. We need to market it to Laughlin, to Del Rio, to Uvalde. I mean, people drive 30, 40, 50 miles to bring their kids to something, or even themselves. They turn out for Fort Clark days. But it's one of those things that we, like you said, when we were here before, at Fort Clark days, there was a tent, and Fort Clark Springs Association put out everything they had to offer. They gave out these little things that take the jar tops off your jars when your hands get old. But the fort didn't, when we actually came back this time, the fort itself wasn't marketing its, even at Fort Clark days, and it's like, it's a prime marketing opportunity.
No.
And we reach out to the school kids, but I don't know that we reach out to anybody but the school kids.
When I would dare to wager that the marketing stopped happening about the time Alamo Village started to kind of go away. Because I think Alamo Village and the Fort had a pretty good partnership, and they had signs together and they worked together, and somewhere about the time Alamo Village stopped, which was, I mean, probably the late 90s, early 2000s, is kind of probably the last time a marketing plans ever happened. But interesting story, the lawnmower getting delivered and talking about people not knowing we're here. The gentleman is Cully Johnson, great guy from John Deere that I haven't met him personally, but on the phone. And he lives in Utopia. He's from Utopia. And he kept telling me, I spoke to him many times, we couldn't get it delivered, we didn't have a driver, and he said, hey man, send me an address. And I just, it was hurting my brain. I'm like, Cully, I'm not sending you an address, just tell your driver to take the only left in Brackenville on Highway that he had to take. And finally, after 3 phone conversations of scheduling it, I finally sent him a pin and like, here's the gate. And I was like, how can you from Utopia not know that the only left in Brackenville goes into the Fort Clark?
That's gonna be our new marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Well, and just one second. I love this place. I love this community. I love all the people here. I think we have an amazing place. I think it's very easy for us to, the longer we're here, the more awards we see. And we forget, you know, the pull. Do we need to work on the trails? Yeah, there's a lot of things we need to work on. But when we start then talking about getting more memberships or doing, we're like, wow, nobody wants to come here. But they do. I mean, we still have a lot to offer. We definitely need to be a lot better. But this is an amazing place. And if we can boost our membership, they're not just somebody walking in. I mean, we'll take somebody walking in off the street, but a membership besides month after month after month, they have an investment in this community because they're paying. They're not just coming and going. You know, they come back over and over again. And I just want to remind us that we do have an awesome place.
Another tool. Assuming senior classes still take senior day field trips at the end of the year. This is a good marketing tool. You've got your spring-fed pool. Offer a historical tour of this area with their pool. Minimum charges, you know, bring your buckloads in. We'll start with the tour and then you guys have full control of the pool. I know when I was a senior, we drove hundreds of miles to a place to go for a day trip. This can be advertised all over Texas to the different schools. And it's just a fantastic opportunity for these kids. Thank you, that's the other thing.
That I'd like to bring out that I worked at the museum every other weekend there, and I lost track of the times that I've had people from Del Rio visiting the museum. I'll echo what she just said, that they think that when they get up there, they're just amazed. They think that when they drive past the gates down here, that it's just some sort of park alongside Highway 90. That's all they think it is. That when they get up there and realize what all there is up here, they love the museum. They love the little Sutler store. It's just astounding what we've got here. We're sitting on sort of a genome we've got to do something about.
Well, the most important person to hear this, Mr. Kruger, and I think he's probably listening, so.
You know, I eat apple, right? First bite. But, you know, I have a system that I've worked in 4 different states, including Texas, and all of what you've said here is a part of that. It all happens at once to some degree, but as any great CEO would tell you, the first stop for your energy is your people. That's where I'm at today. The people that work here and the communication around them. I can't do it by myself. And if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in trouble. Okay? I want smart people around me, and pouring your energy into your people so that this is one of the biggest things that are biggest challenges for this area, and everybody will tell you, is the ability to hire new employees, correct? Yeah. Well, that's true. We don't really have much of a, effect on that. We can't, pick up the phone and ask 5,000 people to move here. Where we can affect is the experience they have when they get here. We should be a place that if a young person, 18, 19 years old, is hired, they have a good experience, and when their brother or sister gets older, they work here too. Now, that comes in a lot of ways, but it's really the environment, the fact that they're respected, the fact that they learn here, the fact that they know that their boss has their back, and it becomes a mentor relationship to some degree. I'm not being naive when I say this. It works. It's worked for every great company in the world. It's not rocket science. It's treating people the way you want to be treated. Every day, without exception. I mean, we have to retain employees. We can't put all this energy into a situation and lose them because of a bad experience. So, I mean, their experience to me is just as important as yours, because to me it's the same thing. I can't do it without them, right? So, I have there's a lot of questioning looks in my head, but I guarantee you it does work. It does work. But that's really where I'm at right now, internal communication and, the way our, department head, the flow chart of the fort and everything, making sure you got the right person in the right spot, things like that, right? Getting to know our people, spending time with them, putting my energy into them. I promise you, you will reap the reward of that.
Right. Item number 6, we're gonna have to table that, some more information. And so item number 7 is road striping. Which I know. I have talked to Randy at Mud and, learned lots of things. I guess the school has a striping machine, so, and they lend it to Mud, and Mud will do our striping, and we just have to pay for the paint. One of the things I just kind of want to bring up is I saw a study on, speeding and road striping. And what was said was if the roads are narrower, striping ones, it slows people down. Take going down Fort Clark Road, by the adult center, by Francis, the front part, that's really wide, but because there's parking. So if we stripe the road, but we also add a white line for what's parking, that narrows all of that down visually when somebody's driving on there, instead of looking at it. So in talking with Brandy, I'm like, so could we do more than just put a middle stripe down the road? So I would like for us to look at not only there, but maybe on Fort Clark Road and Scales, putting aside, a white stripe on the edge of the road. Because we don't have anything on the edge of the road. And so even though you put a white stripe, those roads aren't that wide, putting that white stripe down the sides might make a difference in the speeding. That's my suggestion.
For that project.
I don't think speeders care about stripes. One
Well, I mean, you will have the speeders. You will have speeders that will always speed. They don't care about but there are those of us that get going and, you're not thinking about it. And you may not be going 50, but you may be going 30 and a 25 or 35 and anything that will help, I think is, and it also makes it better at night. It looks nice. You can see the edge of the road.
Aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how much the painting costs?
Why, yes, I do.
Tell her how much, because I see a look in her eye. She's got her checkbook somewhere, I think.
John, stop.
1 second, just 1 second. Let me get the, and it's on sale. So digital.
Are you getting there, check what's happening?
Now, this is just a ballpark because, I've talked to Randy and to, and Phil a little bit. And it will probably take 40 gallons to do, the striping. And then another 25 gallons maybe to do some of the extra white lines. But he also said he would do the parking lots, the Dickman and the pool and the pool.
So dollars in vacuums. Dollar in that here.
I haven't told him all of it, but I did say all of it. So that's about $2,100 for the paint, which is a lot less than I expect. But I could be off on the gallons because they're all like, so we may have to purchase more. But to me, it's well worth it. You can't see coming in the gate. There's no middle.
Well, just let it be said, I didn't buy a dead tree, but I will help by paying for striping to help the problems.
And thank you, Brenda, for your Directions.
Bill,
When you mentioned it, then I would say that that's gonna include parking lot.
Yes, yes. Might have to buy him dinner a few extra times to get all of the extra, but I will do that. We do the whole court. So this does fall under his limit. So it's not that we need to vote on it, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, we talked about what we'd like to do, and I hadn't talked to them about the side striping or the speeding, so.
Lisa, is that reflective paint or, fluorescent paint for the street striping? It's supposed to be reflective.
I know it's road striping paint, that's all I know.
Okay, please. Thank you.
Welcome. Do y'all have any
What color? White, yellow?
yellow on the,
But before we get disappointment, I would say that,
that's not enough.
oh no, I would say it's, I mean, I don't know whether this is enough or not, but but to your question about it being reflective, I guess it's of the amount, so I wouldn't be expecting that, but I mean, it's better than what we have currently. And obviously, if we get the reflective paint, it's gonna be probably a lot more expensive than this.
They last longer too.
Well, it might, I don't know any data on that, but,
And how long is this paint supposed to last in the normal time without having to make it paint again?
well, it depends on if people do bonus with their four-wheelers on the paint, so.
I get that started right.
I don't know, but it's for this amount of money and the fact that we have to remember that,
It's
yeah, it's not effective, because we did a lot of this with COSA and stuff, and it's way more. This amount of money, which is falls within his purview, is still only probably, 30 to 40% of the total cost it would take to get this done. So, we're getting a bargain here, I mean, take it and run.
especially since we're not having to pay for the labor.
Yeah, that's what I mean, we're not
I
bidding
think,
for it.
I think Peterson at one point had a bid. And it was well over $7,000, and I think it may have been a lot more, but I can't remember, so
I think I saw a bid when I first came on, it was like $23,000 for all of us to get striped.
yeah, to pay a company to come in and strike.
Yeah.
So,
About going through the highway department.
Well, they're definitely in charge.
yeah, so if Randy and his crew's willing to do it, and the school's willing to lend it,
Yeah.
and we're just gonna be paid.
Take it and run.
Yeah, so,
So what roads are going to be done then? All of Fort Park and Scales Road?
well, I don't know if it's Randy's understanding, but my understanding is all the roads that have pavement on. Maybe I'll have to go back and talk to him.
That was my
It'll
understanding
be
too. You
amazing.
said all
Uh,
roads.
He didn't say all roads, but
I'm sure he's talking about the maintenance.
we'll find out. We most likely pick it up, it's in Del Rio. Del Rio, sure. Yes. So, and we'll probably have to order it, so. But he said he only needed a week or two lead time. Any road's responsible. No, I just wanted to make everybody aware. Trails. Right now, yesterday morning. And, I've always been a big trail person, but I haven't, for some reason, had the time lately. And, it's as bad as I've seen it since I moved here.
It's absolutely worse than I've seen. It's 5 times worse, 10 times worse than I've ever seen in the last 15 years. And I go on the trails all the time.
And I used to go out all the time, so I was surprised. So we tried to go down the trail on, off of Scales. If you're going down Scales and you take a left and it loops around the creek. And there was a down tree right after you go in. So then we went in through the, laundry and didn't get much farther before there was another down tree and had to backtrack. We took the one behind 38, on the back side of the creek from the golf course, took that all the way to Redbridge. We did get all the way through there, but it was also very, very, very narrow. And then, of course, looking when you come along Redbridge, that whole area hasn't been mowed or cleared out or anything like that, so. And then we ran out of time because we kept up in the back row, so. I don't know how the trail is that goes to the walking bridge up to the front of the fort, because we didn't make it there.
It's totally blocked.
Is it
It's been
totally?
blocked since before July.
Really?
I removed part of a tree that was hanging there, but then ultimately the whole tree is gone. If I would have moved it, if it was that big, I'd have started up and moved. They need a, semi-professional chainsaw.
They.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna, I guess what we're gonna do is, what I'm gonna propose to do is that I would think that the Red Bridge would fall under general maintenance. I've never seen it as bad as it looks right now. And we know we have a shredder. So, what I would propose is that we get, as the first order of business, get the maintenance crew to go through, all the Red Bridge area and mow what they can safely mow, because you don't really want to suck in those big logs. You'll just destroy your gearboxes. But mow what they can safely mow, and then we need to have some kind of concerted effort of some volunteers possibly, and I'll bring down some equipment with some of my guys and spend a week. And we will try, I think our goal would be to get all the Red Bridge from the golf course to kind of passing around to the right of the Red Bridge cleaned up, all the dead limbs, what can be mulched along the creek, cleaned up, mulched, shredded, and then everything from the Red Bridge trail back to the stables, that trail completely opened up and clean. Yeah, like doesn't it go, I mean, it goes up like by the dog park, but it also keeps going all the way around to the stables.
The part we didn't go to.
Yeah, we couldn't get to it because it ripped off the top of my ring.
Yeah, there's two ways. There's one way that goes around by the back of the pharmacist deal, but that thing's always super rough and big with bushes. I don't know if anyone gets in there. But the other trail is one that most people will be using, which goes along the walking bridge.
Yeah, and it's just a step, okay, in the right direction, but my assessment would be if you called a professional crew to come in here and clean all these trails and clean up our high volume areas like the Red Bridge. Look at Rendezvous Park right now, the front of the fort, all along the creek and the highway, where we could establish more advertising for new signs that actually get seen because they're not 65-foot tall mesquite trees next to them. My assessment of that would be well over $200,000. So I'm willing to bring my guys here for a week and do this if we can kind of do this with some volunteers that can help. And I'll donate that time and equipment to try to get some of this moving in the right direction.
There's little bits, branches, bigger than branches on the golf course.
I talked with Max about that yesterday.
Yeah, 14, you can't drive through, you gotta go all the way around to get to.
We're gonna get some of that cleaned up. It's just a matter of equipment. They just don't have the equipment.
If I remember correctly, somewhere in the rules and regulations, you're not allowed to take wood off the floor. But
You're not allowed to bring it on.
You're not allowed to bring it on.
You're not supposed to take it off either.
No.
But, for what reason, I don't know. Possibly, I'm trying, people who sell flyers, not that much around here, because, that's they're cold. But what about people who sell flyers, they would come, they would deal where they could come, take the wood. Don't have to, get it out.
It's not a bad idea, Bill, but in my experience, and this is a rather small project. I generally deal with large projects, and I've had that question asked me. I've even tried to do it. And these are developments where you have extremely easy access. It just doesn't work out. It takes too much time. It's too hard to coordinate, and they just end up getting in the way. If the trails were clear and somebody, let's just hypothetically say, wanted to come and get firewood, okay, maybe talk about that because they're not in the way, but they can't even get to the firewood. They can't get there. So then the only way to what I perceive is that there's a lot of brush at the Red Bridge, so you have to find a place to, accumulate that and stack it and either burn it or, something along those lines, and people can come get firewood out of that. There's a bunch of limbs that are down, but you're talking about, we'll call it 600-700 acres along this creek that is just littered with trees falling down everywhere. It's probably not feasible.
Yeah.
And there's no money in it for them. And then you gotta talk about type of wood. Pecan rots extremely fast.
Yeah.
Once it's down for 6 or 8 months, unless it's really big around, it's not really all that good firewood. Oak will last generally forever. And, mosquito lasts for a year or two on the ground, and then, it's usually not useful. So you gotta talk about what's desirable for people to buy, and it's not a bad idea. I just think you should find a way to complicate the situation.
What about the credits? What about you chip it down enough that can become trail road?
Yes, but you'd be complicating the matter some more, because now you gotta chip it in a certain spot, and then you gotta move it and apply it, which we don't have the manpower to mow the Red Park right now, right? So, or Red Bridge. So I think it's not a bad idea. It's just, that's 3 steps down the road, and we're just trying to get step 1. But yes, my intent would be to bring mulchers, and anything on the edge of the trails is gonna disappear. It's gonna turn into mulch. And anything on the edge of the creek at Red Bridge or limbs that we can mulch, piles that people have piled up, all that stuff will disappear right where it's at. And it'll just degrade in the soil.
I would like to see just the main parts that are blocked, clear. That dangerous trees that are gonna smash someone's golf cart, possibly kill somebody. Doesn't need to be removed from the board, it just needs to be removed from the trail, put to the side with all the other dead trees, and then there'll be dirt. Maybe some of them can be moved, but at least let's focus on getting the trails safer and operable. And I would not encourage them to be cleared to the point that would allow people to driving their vehicles in there any more than they're doing now. It should be cleared to the point where golf carts can go in there and people can walk and ride their bikes. Otherwise, we'll have people going in there in their cars, there are roads back in there, but do we want people driving around in their cars? Absolutely not. You want to talk, ATVs are going to tear them up, but what do you think a truck's going to do? So maybe make a smaller project of just making them safer and passable. That wouldn't be much expenditure at all. Maintenance / volunteers should be able to knock out 90% of that.
Well, and to clarify, what I'm talking about doing is just from the Red Bridge, say back in Stables, in just the one trail going along there, maybe there's some little branches out, and then cleaning up the Red Bridge, which has just a bunch of fallen trees, limbs, and stuff.
Those are accessible. They're not like deep up.
Right, but cleaning that up so that we can get some feedback, and it's probably going to cost me about $10,000. So, by my estimation, so maybe more. I wouldn't know until the end of it, and I'll be donating that time, but it would also give us some feedback to say, is this something we want to do more of, or do we just want to roll along this with chainsaws and clean it up that way? You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
To me, the best part of the trail is Red Bridge is cool and all, whatever, but the best part is from the laundry to the front. Right? That is by far the best part, probably the most used and the most attractive and all around superior to most.
Well, and in behind, not Red Bridge, but behind the pond. That's what you saw. So yeah, those are the biggest things. But I think it's a 2-pronged thing. We can get volunteers and meetings to do the big trees to clear them, those other trails, and then.
Well, our equipment, if we run down these trails, some of them are blocked, and you know it much better than I do. I've been on these trails for years, but if you can go along and use Google Earth or whatever, you say this is blocked, this is blocked, this is blocked. I don't care if the tree's the size of this room. I can get it out of the way in just a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
So we can push them off to the side.
I haven't done it yet, but when would you propose to bring your stuff out here?
That's something that I'll have to work with Patrick on. First step, we got to get Red Bridge mowed so that we can, have access to where we got to go. We can go in there anyway, but that at least allows a focal point.
I'll get my dog and run around and take a bunch of photos and Google tag those things.
Yeah,
and
we just
look at it.
Google tag.
You're like, this how can you get into here?
Yeah.
Or not, but we do. I don't think it's a long term. Yes, it's a long term deal, but to make, I'm a fan of you can get usually 80% of the work done with 20% of the effort. The last 20% is gonna cost you the other 80% of the effort to get it, like, find it. So, you know, that's
So I'll work with Patrick, but that's just something that hopefully when we get to that point, we'll get a dispatch put out and, get some volunteers and just start cleaning up some of this stuff. It's really in anybody's fault. A lot of the trees falling down is not anybody's fault, but droughts aren't anybody's fault. But my gosh, there's a lot of trees that are down from windstorms and being so dry. And of course, the freeze over of 2 years ago, that was pretty rough, but.
Is to establish, the election committee for this year, which is part of our documents. And I had the names. I've forgotten. So, no, I can do it, I can do it. So,
I can sign.
Sandy Hagan has volunteered to chair again, since she knows the election committee. Frances Bitters has volunteered to be a part of the committee. Carol Hader volunteered. Pat Stephenson, and there's one more. No, you're not on the list.
Barbara.
Oh, Barbara McFadden. Is that five?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the five. Sorry, Bill. You were too late in volunteering. So that is, the election committee. I guess we have to vote to establish it. So do I have a motion?
Make a motion to establish the election committee,
With those people's names? Yes.
with the 5 individuals mentioned.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I don't have anything on the announcements, but I know there's a lot of things coming up. Does anybody have any event or anything that they'd like to shout out?
So, your announcements.
Next, Fort Clark Days meeting will be the first Wednesday in October, which will be October 4th at 6 p.m. And the next Eclipse meeting will be the 25th, also at 6 p.m. Both meetings will be here. And this next month, I will remember to send out a dispatch for the Eclipse committee meeting because this last one, it was just Francis and I.
But we come in for work day.
Thank you for attending.
Well, and is the other eclipse before our next, the October eclipse is before?
Yes.
Yes.
October 14th.
October 14th, there will be
And you're.
an annular eclipse.
Yeah.
We are not in the direct path of totality.
We're at 90% though.
Yeah. That's just not enough. But so far, in polling the hotel, they have not had any interest, any call as of last time I talked to him. And there was a percentage of the membership that wanted to see how we would handle an eclipse with us doing absolutely nothing, so we're gonna find out. So this is gonna be our organic trial and see what kind of traffic we get. And honestly, we're not ready to market and bump up and charge more. It would be wrong. We'd not make a good impression. So.
Are you still gonna have the glasses?
Yes.
We do have our glasses for April, so we'll gladly sell them for October, and we can purchase more.
All right.
Oh, and I wanted to say, we at our first Fort Clark Days meeting, last year we had 3 people. This year we filled that table for our first meeting, so people are excited.
And we're very excited that our new GM attended and
Yes.
took time and was very receptive to our ideas and helping us in any way he could.
Awesome. All right.
He likes to dance.
It is. It is 11:11, so we're supposed to make a wish. Something like this. So we're in executive session.
How are you?
Yes, she does. It's, no. I'm sure. Calendar.
Yeah. By me, it's a waiting here.
So, we saw NCAC. Yes.
Oh, 5-2?
He said he had.
You said that yesterday.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting on the full side too. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Good. Last week, that's like, okay, small. Or Hagen, Friday and stuff. It should be cool. Let's get all of them. So, hold on. No, one should have said it's okay. But next week, I don't. So, we can expand it on both of those units. Also, on production.
Said last
Chicken. And I think the first one is. So. The production crew, the big screen crew, the televised crews are the same. So they can come in and do one, or stay here rather than back to Dallas Fort Worth. And then go to your Valley, that's just an idea. And the way they did that, I mean, for 20+ year was Marla, the next year. Just a thought.
it is given. It's separate.
Stay. Yeah. So, just a thought and, yeah. Years. So, this is just game, yeah, we have spent. So.